Yeah, he was. He was hardcore.
Yeah.
Genghis Khan. He would lift his ass, and you can ride traditional or you can ride like a woman. He would switch. He popularized the sitting on a horse like a woman so he could shit on the go. He said, "We must do as the horses do, for they are the key to our people's success."
Right.
Because horses shit on the run. This is all you need to look it up, people. These are facts, and this remains to be true.
Can we bring up that podcast, the JRE, the Joe Rogan?
I started listening to that a couple hours ago. I'm not even halfway through it yet, and I just I was cleaning dishes and doing some things, and I started writing down stuff from the podcast that I thought was funny or interesting. And just over the course of 90 minutes, I've got pages of funny things I heard. It is. We may as well just quit PKA. Everybody else podcasting, you can stop because we've hit the peak. That's the funniest. So far, the funniest podcast I've ever heard.
I hated it.
Oh,
I thought that podcast was shit. I powered through it against my will because I felt like I needed to be up to date on it. And one good thing that I get from it, I got it the last time Alex Jones was on, and this time people fuss at me for interrupting too much. And sometimes that criticism is really valid. Sometimes it's almost a meme. And I see them interrupt each other, and it's a reminder, Woody, don't do this to your show because it's ruining it for me. And Alex Jones can't get his thought out, and he and Eddie Bravo interrupting each other constantly. Joe Rogan, who usually has a good thought in his head, can't get it out. And he's got the solution to this argument, tries to explain to him that he's just joking with him, and that it takes like a minute and a half for that to come through.
The way I see it is almost like Joe knows how entertaining Jones is. He's a huge draw. Look at all the views in his podcast recently. I don't listen to that many. I'm listening to this one because it's Alex Jones and he's hilarious. I feel like Rogan is playing him like a lute, where he's like, "Oh, I'll say this, and that'll get Jones going on another funny rant. Oh, I'll ask a question this way, and I'll get him going on another funny tangent. Or whoa, you just said something about aliens stealing baby parts. Come back to that, please." He was just, I feel like, trying to kind of hem Alex Jones in enough to get him, because it seems like Alex Jones is 1 billion miles wide and 4 inches deep. He's got all this stuff, and so Joe's trying to desperately wrangle this madman in. It is so fucking funny.
All I saw was again and again and again Alex Jones unable to tell us any kind of story in a straight line, unable to make any kind of point, randomly scattershotting all kinds of weird conspiracy theories about Asians being robots and other weird things, backing it up with things like my father had a nuclear power plant under his university, and it just goes left and right and never makes any sense. And Joe would be like, whoa, let's get back to that one. Let's deep dive into it.
Though. It's what Taylor just said. He's 1 billion miles wide and 4 inches deep. Like he's got no answers, because Joe would stop and be like, whoa, where does it say that? You just said that this is in literature, that this has been written down by people. Show me those books. I need.
Well, I'm frankly not going to get into that right now. But something else to mention is that they are already making half pig, half people hybrids in China. They've been doing this. Look at 1986. New York Times put it out as a feeler to see if people will be okay with this kind of thing for growing these goddamn livers for these drug abusing political types. They put that out there. People hated it. They got rid of it. Look it up. MIT's paper. Jamie, you pull that up. MIT's paper. And then every once in a while he'll say something he pulled up the MIT thing. I was like washing a dish, Alex, are you fucking insane? The Chinese are not breeding half people, half pigs to try and harvest their organs. And then of course that's not exactly true, but there is shit going on that MIT talked about that was akin to that. And it's
that's what he does though.
Shit.
He takes a little bit of truth, and he warps it into this incredible conspiracy. They made as soon when electricity and film was becoming a thing, when it was just burgeoning, they'd make these machines that you could stick your head in and you could see it, and you could see a little video and stuff. And he's like, that's virtual reality. You see, that's alien technology that they gave us back then. That was virtual reality technology given to us by the aliens, handed down to the Vril Society, which was the Nazis. They gave baby blood to the aliens in exchange for their technology. They sold their souls, which you've got to keep in mind, though. And on this rant, what you got to keep in mind, though, is they will only give you evil. Okay, there's two sides out. Right? They look like elves and they have horns. They are what we would think of as demons. And if you commune with them, if you allow them in, okay, they will only bring evil. Now, God and the angels, they're a whole different thing, but you have to ask them to come in, okay? And they will not involve themselves in your life unless you ask them to get it to come in. But what you've got to keep in mind is the Chinese society, they're basically robots, okay? They're built to be a and you're like, whoa, slow the fuck down.
Oh yeah, I'm
Go
just
back.
at that part
Kyle
now.
did better than
Baby
Alex
blood for
Jones.
aliens.
Alex Jones would have had 4 topics in that length of time, all of them ridiculous and insane. And Kyle only had 2. And the late-term abortion was a really good example. So they listened to this clip of the Virginia governor talking about like super late-term abortions. And he's like, there are some kids that are born and they're not viable, they're not compatible with life. So what we do is we take them out, we keep them comfortable until they die. Like that's how that goes. And that is an awful situation, right? Kids with their hearts born on the outside, with their, holes in their skulls and brains exposed and whatever. Kids get born that way and they keep them comfortable until they die. Well, they just completely skip over the non-viable part of this. And they're like, they are taking these children, making them comfortable and killing them as if women want abortions after 9 months. Like that's a thing that's going on. And Joe was just like, his mind was blown away that it was happening. He's like, Joe, did you miss the part where he described the context? He did. And then again, like I watched this and I'm trying to learn to make our show better. I'm like, this must be how frustrated our viewers are when we get our facts wrong. Because that's where I was.
I thought it was entertaining. Like,
I really
like he'll talk about
it.
like he said a couple. You hated it, Kyle. You didn't think it was funny.
no,
you heard me.
love
You heard
Woody.
me.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I like the part where like he'll say stuff that like is pretty agreed upon. Where he's like, and of all the people in the world, the Chinese and the Germans are the most methodical, the most organized, and the most likely to get those kind of projects done. That's understood. It's known, and that is why the aliens came down targeting those 2 groups of people and provided them with what they needed. You can see it in early 1930s with the Germans and the Nazis. They received that technology. You can see it now currently with AI and China. And it's like, but I think I stop agreeing there on the Germans and Chinese seem the most organized. Like, like you get like that does seem. Like they do seem really organized, those groups of people. So most people will be like, okay. And then he goes, so that's why the aliens chose them for this. And it's like, this is like, I can't tell where his act ends to where he begins. Like, I don't know. Like so much of the stuff he's saying is obviously over the top showmanship. Like fucking obviously. Like he said, he's like, and you wouldn't believe I've had a very exciting life. It was in this area of Austin, this really rich area where all these people live, kind of these elites, these globalists. And I was there. I was 12 years old, and this beautiful woman, 17, she invited me into her home, and she said, I will have sex with you if you allow me to put you in full makeup. And so I let her. I let her put me in full makeup, and we had sex. It was great. And as I came back down, her father stopped me and said, that was pretty good, wasn't it? You worship Lucifer with me, and you can have that every day. And I said, hell no, and I got out of there. It was like at no point did you go into a rich girl's house in a globalist commune in Austin, Texas, and then fuck a 17-year-old whose father then promised her pussy to you if you would but join their Lucifer cult. Like
no, that did not
does
happen.
feel like
where
I'm
does that
missing
tie
out now
in?
that you said that.
Look, if
Because
that were
then
a
he'll
thing,
say other shit that I would mock openly.
These are the kind of
know
places
about it.
Filthy visited for his master's degree.
That's
it's all
true.
I
free.
You went
wish
to all-
I had visited places like that.
Filthy's been to all the Eyes Wide Shut parties. Like all those cool like fucking
many
goat heads and
masks.
stuff. Yeah. Oh, and then
So that
was
was a
saying,
show,
like,
but I thought he really was crazy and off the rails by quite a bit. I'm watching it and I feel like if he was more like in charge of his own capabilities, am I saying this right? That he would be able to stay on a topic and flow a little better. Instead, he's just sort of scatterbraining this stuff. And it's not,
he's all over the place.
He's all over
good.
the place.
It's
He
not
jumps from,
good.
and that's the method to his madness, right? If he were to, like if I'm explaining something to you, I'm gonna say, well, it was like this. These people came up with this idea, and on this date, this happened, and I can show you. Here are the pictures of it, okay? And here's where some authors wrote about it who were there. Like you're like, okay, foundation formed, okay, all factual. What you've got there, everything built on this will be real. What he does is he's just like, oh, and then it was aliens and it was demons and it was interdimensional aliens actually. And you got to keep in mind Hillary Clinton and everybody thinks I hate Donald Trump. I don't hate him, but I don't want to be his defender. And you're just, God, you threw 8 things at me that
There's a term for that. It's not gobbledygook. Does anyone know?
Gish Gallop.
Gish Gallop. I think, is that Gish
Never heard
Gallop?
that.
Yeah, but I don't think he's doing it as like an argument. It seems like he's just ranting.
Well, when you change topics enough and throw enough people at,
Oh,
and
yeah,
throw enough
that's true.
stuff at people, then it becomes hard to debunk them one by one, right? Like Filthy has a term for it, I think, where it's like 10 times harder to disprove something than to just say a lie. And he does that nonstop. A lie, a lie, a lie, a lie. Like this Gish Gallop of lies. And as you follow it, like you don't know what's true and what's not true. Because every so often one of these things are not a lie. Or he has some sort of evidence for it.
And then oftentimes the thing that's not a lie will like he'll say it and I'll be like bullshit, total nonsense. And then he'll actually be like, actually, Jamie, pull up. In the 80s, they tried to use cell towers to influence people's behavior and make them more complacent. And I'm like, yeah, I bet, Alex, I bet. And then like something like that ends up being true.
There was
and
one
then
about
that makes you think,
Soros being
oh
a
shit,
currency
he said
manipulator.
10 crazy things before this. If this one isn't a total lie, what wasn't a total lie in there? But by that point, he said 5 more things, and you're on to the races.
Yes.
Yeah,
I think it's so fucking entertaining.
There's a little bit of truth in almost everything he says, and by truth, I mean
He didn't
All right,
make it
so-
up
so-
himself.
he didn't make. Well, no, I mean there's a little bit of truth, like the Vril Society, right? The Nazi, demon society where they were trying to, they were based in the occult. That's a real documented thing. That's real.
I didn't know that.
Now, there's been lots of fiction based around that, right? That's what Hellboy is. Hellboy's based around that. You can't say that Hellboy is real because there actually was a Vril society. Hellboy is an act of fiction, just like most of what Alex Jones says about the Vril society, right? Using baby blood in exchange for alien technology. Why would the aliens need to pay us for the baby blood if they have this technology? Baby blood's easy to get, right? We've all got a vial.
How I stay young.
Yeah.
Oh, he
Rub
was.
it,
I drink it. Yeah.
bathe in it
I'm trying to think
sometimes.
I'm trying to remember the other really ridiculous things he was saying. He was talking about how Joe. Yeah, you know how Joe like denounced him in like a soft way,
Mhm.
like, and then they kind of I guess made up. Like they were talking about, I think, Alex and Joe talking like, oh, and this is what he said. Alex goes, now, if they had held a gun to my head and said, you need to kill Joe and his kids, I would say, yeah, sure, I'll do that. And then I would turn around, grab the gun and kill them. And then he just kept going because like in his own hypothetical where he's like, they were holding the gun to your head, Joe, and then you betrayed me. It's like, what would I have done? What would I have done? I would have agreed with them, said I would have killed your kids, but I'm too quick. I would have turned around, grabbed it, and killed them. That's what I've done for you, Joe Rogan. Like,
there were a couple parts where he wanted to get physical with Eddie Bravo, and that I really enjoyed. I
think you could beat up Eddie Bravo.
I don't think so.
There's a big size.
Eddie Bravo is a
disparity.
professional.
Yes.
He is a professional, but I get that jiu-jitsu really gives you another maybe 40% body weight in a fight. But I just feel like Alex is big and strong. I don't know how big Eddie is. Maybe I'm being stupid. Maybe Eddie's 180 pounds, but Eddie looks 150.
He looks
pounds
below
or something.
average in size. I don't know.
He looks like a short, thin guy, and I'm aware of it, that he's an incredibly high-level jits guy. Then he trains professionals. That he's world class. But Alex is like a big ogre of a man.
Alex isn't very tall either.
He's
he looks like
5'9", Eddie Bravo, and
Okay.
165, according to his Wikipedia page.
Yeah, that's a little guy. That's
He's
a little
probably
guy.
not 165. I'm just sticking that in my own head because I bet he cuts to it. So he
Yeah.
would have been,
Oh.
Yeah.
180
Probably
on
like
the show
180.
or something.
Well,
Yeah.
well, does he cut? Does he compete in jits tournaments anymore?
Anymore
doesn't
is a
matter.
good
I just-
question. He did 2 years ago.
Yeah, I guess my thought process was just looking at them sitting next to each other. I saw a big, wide, powerful man and a smaller, more slight build of a man. And despite, if he were to get Alex's arm and break it like that, that's game over. But I don't know if he can break Alex's arm. Alex looks like such an ogre. He just looks thick. Like it looks like he's got this big barrel chest. And he doesn't look like incredibly fit, but he's definitely powerful. I would
Yeah.
describe
He's
him
got
as
the body of a guy who used to lift a lot.
He really does. He looks like he looks like he could lay a walloping on.
And
you.
then gained 80 pounds.
I'm pretty confident that both
That
Joe
Eddie would
Rogan
win.
and Eddie would win handily.
Well, Joe's 200 pounds. Joe's like
Yeah. He's
Joe's like
also
five-
short, but he's just
5'7",
fire
5'8",
hydrant.
200 pounds.
Can we watch this funny clip
uh,
of him screaming at
yes, is
at
this
Eddie
the one we watched
Bravo?
on PKN also?
Oh,
Yes,
is it?
It's the same
Oh,
one.
okay. I can find another one.
This is the best one. I watched the show. It sucks.
People out there,
This is the best part.
Okay, let's give it a go then.
I'm there.
If it's the
All
thing
right.
I remember. Ready, set, play.
really think there's people out there campaigning for late-term abortions? You think that shit's real? You think that shit's real?
Monday to keep it legal.
Who would do that? Who would do that? Who would campaign for? That's
They
the most.
fucking did it,
That is the
Bravo.
craziest
And
Eddie's
shit.
you
trolling him.
can't fucking admit they're fucking killing already born kids. So you're
Oh, we're buffering over here. That sucks.
telling me it isn't real when they had a fucking vote in the goddamn fucking Senate.
That's a
What the
conspiracy theory.
fuck? I am ready to beat your
That's
fucking
a
ass and get
conspiracy
your
theory.
way. You think you're fucking tough? You're about to get it. Bullshit! They're killing already born babies. Stop fucking lying. God fucking damn it. I'm getting pissed now.
Don't get pissed. Go.
No, I mean,
Okay.
you saw the dude. It's going.
I'm
didn't see
just
it.
fucking
But you
with you.
really- hold on.
Alex,
Hey,
Alex,
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 Type in right now.
Alex,
the fucking
I was
Senate,
fucking
the
with you.
fucking Senate voted
Here's
to
the
kill
thing.
babies
Let me-
after they're fucking born.
Hey,
I
Alex,
was
let me-
just playing with you.
Eddie-
Of course, I believe that,
Eddie,
Alex.
If we
Eddie,
want
let me
to shift
explain.
topics a
course,
little bit,
I
I have
believe-
a video that
Eddie,
It's
let me
all over the
explain.
news.
Eddie,
I was just playing with
Eddie,
you.
Yeah, you probably didn't hear. I buffered for a bit, so we were behind you.
The best clip that's on Twitter right now, I retweeted it, where he's like, Joe, I'm going to level with you about something. I'm kind of retarded.
Yes.
Oh, man.
So that part was actually funny, but there was a lot of it that I thought didn't work.
I'm still only halfway through, so it could peter out and get shitty. It's so off the wall and so much shit going on at once, it's just keeping my attention.
Okay.
Yeah, I watched a bunch of highlight videos. Like I watched him talk about Sandy Hook and the aliens and a few other conspiracy theories, 9/11, and all that content's been.
Oh, I
just
haven't got
wonderful.
to 9/11 yet.
Oh man, yeah, Tower 7, all that bullshit. Taylor,